Hi there folks, my name's Novawing24 and welcome to another little review of an FSX product. So today we are having a look at the Gloster Javelin from Virtavia. So this add-on's been out quite a while, but I picked it up because it does have sort of some significance to myself and a very good friend of mine. So I wanted to explore it and see what it's like, and then I thought I'd share my findings with you guys as well. So here we are. We're set up at the end of runway 18 at Tengar in Singapore in some rather interesting sort of dark and stormy weather, courtesy of Active Sky Next. Thank you very much, guys. And yeah, I just wanted to show it off this very interesting fighter that had quite an interesting development, and interestingly was the last fighter that actually bore the Gloster name. So Gloster sort of being one of the premier aircraft producers in Britain for many years, throughout 2 world wars, and yeah, this was their final fighter that actually, or final aircraft that bore the Gloster name. So as always folks, we're going to do our usual thing. We're going to have a quick look around the outside of the aircraft. We're going to jump into the office as it were, and then we're going to go for a quick test flight here around Singapore. Alright, so the outside textures are not too bad, they're pretty good. The only things that I do sort of have a few issues with, now this is sort of something that, again, is something that I don't know, maybe it's something that I'm finding as a reviewer, because I get I'm fortunate enough to see quite a range of products for FSX and P3D, but there are some things that you sometimes miss, like the small little details that come through. So things like jet exhaust pipes that actually sort of manipulate and things like that, and sort of the spinning in the heat haze and stuff like that. But you know what? This was actually a fairly early Virtavia product, and also sort of carryover from the Alpha Sim days. So yeah, we can figure it is getting on a bit in age, but still, it's still very impressive. You've got a lot of the detail. The 3D bump mapping is quite nice as well. And it does have you sort of 3D sounds as you sort of hear them roaring a bit more as you come around the back of the aircraft. Interesting enough, one thing that's nice, you can sort of barely see it in this sort of haze and sort of the rain here. But Virtavia did add in the very faint smoke trail that comes out of the Armstrong Whitworth engines, the Sidley, the Armstrong Whitworth, I think it's the Armstrong Whitworth, the Sapphire turbojets that power this aircraft. So you get that sort of small little dirty haze coming out of the back, which is quite nice. So yeah, very impressive. So yeah, as I said, the overall outside textures are very nice. Comes with you can also get a paint kit for it as well, which is fairly self-explanatory and quite nice and easy to understand as well. We're here today in the colours of 64 Squadron Royal Air Force, from when they were based here at AF Tengar in Singapore. Funnily enough, one of the times that they were closest to actually being engaged in combat, which was very interesting as well. So there you go. Alright, so now it's enough of me waffling on and looking around the outside of the aircraft. Let's jump into the office and let's see what the office looks like for us. Alright, so it is a fairly basic cockpit. Now this holds true for the aircraft as well, as it was, because it was a post-war design that had its origins in the Gloster Meteor, and was designed to provide the Royal Air Force with ongoing night fighting and all-weather fighting capability. Probably a good thing considering the weather we're going to be taking off in today. So yes, there you go. Interesting enough, folks, it was also one of the first. It was the first production jet for the Royal Air Force to actually come fitted from initial production with ejection seat. So there you go. Of course, we've got the obligatory homage to modern-day avionics with a nav GPS switch there. Of course, this aircraft was before the days of GPS. Now, this is possibly my first fundamental problem with this model. The cockpit isn't clickable. The switches in the cockpit are not clickable. Now, you can click this button here to bring up your switches, but you can't actually click the switches themselves. They're modeled fine, great, all the gauges, all the dials work, but you can't actually click or dial anything. That's really annoying. Like, really annoying, guys. I know it's an older model, but seriously, you know, clickable cockpit's been around since FS9, guys. You know, it's not rocket science. It's really not. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. Really, kind of disappointing. Yeah. Yeah, okay, alright, I'm going to stop there because that's really annoying. Anyway, alright, so what we're going to do is, we've had a look at this one. Now, you may have noticed from the outside that there is a second cockpit for the navigator and the weapons officer. Unfortunately, it is not modelled in this example either. So it's only got the front cockpit. The pilot's station has been modelled, so there you go. Just for anyone who was thinking of doing a joint fly or a Rio navigator, yeah, you're not going to find it in this aircraft. Okay. Alright, on that note, let's go for takeoff. Okay, fuel cock's open, engine's running. Alright. Engines spool up. Alright. Now, interestingly enough, the reheat on this one, or afterburner as it's known now, as we go brakes off here, doesn't really give you much on the ground and sort of low altitude. The reheat is designed for use at very high altitudes. Now, this aircraft was designed, and I'm about to show you this as well on the takeoff here. This aircraft was designed to be able to fulfill a Royal Air Force requirement to actually be able to, you can see the beautiful sort of, you know, the huge lifting effect of the delta wing there, to be able to climb, to be able to respond to an interception very, very quickly, to be able to climb very, very quickly to operating altitude, and to be able to target the incoming waves of Soviet bombers. So you'll find that this aircraft is designed as a very, very fast climb rate, very, a lot of power as well. Rotate through that. Yeah, of course, some wind shear as we come through. Tell you what, Active Sky really does a good job of sort of, you know, you do have to rely on your instruments. You definitely cannot rely on your sort of, you know, be able to look out at the side when during rain and bad weather. So we should be able to pop out of the top of the cloud layer fairly soon. Of this thunderstorm going on around us. You can see we've got a fairly high, you know, 2,000 to 4,000 feet per minute climb rate, and there we go as we bust through the cloud layer. As I said, this aircraft is designed to really sort of be able to go through and do that high altitude interception very, very quickly. And as I said, you can see there you can see it a bit easier now. There's smoke trail sort of coming out of those turbojets as well. Really nice. The sound set is quite nice as well, which is something that you know, I was fairly impressed by, given the sort of flying around. There's none of these aircraft left in flying condition, unfortunately, either. It's a bit sad, considering it's just a monster. It's so beautiful, but such a monster all at the same time. Let's do the turn here. So this particular variant, this model covers off this particular one that we're flying is the what was known as the FAW9FR, which was for the long range. It had the ventral fuel tanks, and of course also had the in-flight refueling probe as an option as well. Now the Virtavia add-on covers off two main models, or three main models. It covers off the FAW5, the FAW9, and the FAW9R as well. So this is an example of the 9R, which is the final model that was produced of this one. Now, just under 437 of these aircraft were produced during their lifetime in service. And it holds a bit of an unusual record as well, as it is one of the few aircraft where the first production aircraft was actually finished, produced and delivered before the final order of the prototype aircraft was actually completed. due to sort of various mismanaging and sort of changes in the various political situations, as it were. It did give us, it did give that sort of distinction. I'm not sure whether it's a good distinction or not, but it is a distinction nonetheless. Interesting enough, it was, as I said, it was produced around through the 1950s and served on into the 1960s, becoming a bit of a icon of the British forces during the Cold War. Mostly used, as I said, for home defence and for interception duties, which is what it was designed for and what it was tasked at. And we're getting just thrown a bit by the weather here, but as I said, it still handles very, very nice. This large wing area really does give it some pretty nice performance, and still manages to actually be able to do quite a bit of manoeuvring around. As I said, and the roll rate is actually modelled accurately as well. So you may think that's a bit high, but no, that is the correct roll rate. Now she did have a bit of a rough start to her first life as well. So she did find that she could be found to be unstable, and she had a lot of elevator issues in the early prototypes as well, which sadly caused a couple of two test pilots to lose their lives. And she did have a tendency that she could, because of the large wing area, it could act as essentially as a giant air brake, and encourage or cause what's called a deep stall, where essentially there is no airflow at all going over the elevator surfaces or even the tail surfaces, so essentially unable to do any kind of manoeuvring on it. So that aircraft did come with a variety of stall warning measures. Stall warning system was implemented in the aircraft. Oh, and we've come out a bit low on that one. Alright, so stall warning system and various modification designs were done to the design, including the addition of stall strips and vortex generators as well, to actually make sure that the aircraft could be more prolong the abilities before it actually. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to now come in for a landing. So we're going to come back in on 18. Now this weather has turned kind of nasty for us, but that's okay. This aircraft is an all-weather aircraft, so that's what we're here to prove today. So we're going to start our upwind leg, and hopefully I'm not going to make a fool of myself as I try and land this beautiful aircraft. Alright, so we're going to come in here on the approach. Knots. So we're going to do our brake over the airport in just a moment. Alright, so on the brake. Watch that climb. Wide on that one, but it's alright. Alright. Now the air brake on this is pretty damn incredible at dropping your speed. Alright. You're down. Alright, first notch flaps. Power on, we've got to watch the sink right there. Don't want to be taken out of these buildings on the way through. Possibly going to get some noise complaints from the guests here in Singapore. Bit. And she does have a tendency, because of the very large delta wing, she tends to float a bit on landing. That's what I've read from the pilot's notes. A little bit low on the glide slope. There, oh, there's that float. Oh. Ow. I think the engineers are going to have a word to me about this, I think. Alright, well, we're down. Possibly may have broken that, but yeah, you can see that it really does model that that ground effect that you get from the huge delta wing really, really nicely, and it's something that, yeah, I was definitely very impressed with when I saw it, as I said, when I felt it model. So I think, you know, as it is frustrating, but you know what, it's possibly one of the best redeeming features of this add-on as well, is the fact that the flight model is done so well, and it does really, I feel, accurately represent the challenges of flying a huge delta wing aircraft like the Javelin in there. So does it make up for the other things that sort of happen with the add-on? You know, well, let's face it, we're here to fly most of the time, and sort of the other things are sort of secondary. So look, it definitely, for me, I feel that yes, it does make a great flying experience, and definitely a challenge. But the drawback is that whole virtual cockpit thing. The flip side of this is, though, is that this is a very iconic aircraft from the Cold War and the last of the Gloster stable. This is the only one you can get. There is no freeware of it. This is the only one you can get. So in that way alone, for fans and for aficionados of history of the Cold War sort of era, and the last of the British home developed aircraft, this is really going to be something just to get up just for nostalgia's sake, I think. So yeah, there you go. So that's my thoughts on that one. Well, folks, that wraps up my review of this one. Overall, not a bad little aircraft. It's got its issues, but you know, it's still got some. It's got some quirky charm to it, and for history buffs, it's definitely going to be one that you're going to want to look at. So this add-on is available from PC Aviator Australia, so pcaviator.com.au, and of course from your favourite flight sim retailer. Just search your latest retailer for Virtavia products. Alright folks, well thanks very much for tuning in and joining me for my latest review here. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying these and want to see more on the channel. And of course, as always, you can always find out all the things that I'm up to between videos just by following me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search Novawing24. Alright folks, thanks very much for joining me again. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.